Yeah, no, it was always really funny when the other kids would want to play ball and then they'd go to pitch or just like pass or toss me a ball or something. That would just hit me in the head because that's usually how it would go. So I'd be unable to catch it because of the lack of depth perception and shitty field of view. Um, and then it's like, oh, well, ball collides with head. Like, I was literally like a walking example of instructions unclear, ball hit face. So we have a goal. I would like to figure out when the Civil War started. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to civilizations and other entities, the Cobalt Crypts, which is the top civ on the list, and we're gonna figure out when this dwarven faction started killing each other. There's a lot of legends here, so it's especially considering there's what 370 years worth of legends. If anybody happens to have Legends Viewer installed, feel free to download this version of the save, which from this scene right here, it's 2,288 out of 3,330, so it'll be done in a minute. 2,330. So that's almost done. But I just want to see what caused this group to fight. Yeah, it just finished. I just want to know what this group did and why they started fighting each other. Like, it's literally that simple. I just want to know what happened. I mean, it depends. We could go through the ages. I mean, there's more pages of ages. Because I can't sort ages by civ, unfortunately, I don't think. Like, there's no way to search this. And because it shows every year, and I don't know what year the infighting started, I would argue it's probably going to take longer to go through all of this. So, but I mean, once we figure out what the first infighting battle was in civilizations and other entities, then we can go to ages and find it and expand from there. All you need is one fight between the two, but I need to find what year it happened first, and there's way more lines of texts in the ages screen, so it would take me way longer to skim through that than it will through this. Because this, I can just, go through like this. And yeah, it'll take a little bit, but we can figure this out. It won't take too long. I mean, it's gonna take a bit, but yeah, there is so much history in this world. There's part of me that's a little bit worried that Tarn's just gonna put a new version out. But even if he does, I'll spend a little bit of time in this world regardless, because I'm quite intrigued by this world. Just all of the... This is interesting. The Cobalt Crypts had a wrestling competition in Crazed Paints in the Celebration of Wire. Competing were the Dwarf's Sacred Zombie Reg Road faction. And the Dwarf... And it's, of course, the zombie was the victor. Doesn't get exhausted. That's an unfair advantage. Yes, it is the most up-to-date version. Yeah, so it's the current gen version. So a little bit of backstory, I guess. We started a fort on Saturday, called Chainbreaker. And Chainbreaker was originally, and like if you're in the doc, if you go to the week 2 tab down at the bottom, you'll actually find it. Chainbreaker was the whole point of Chainbreaker was it was supposed to be we're going to go rescue some of my own dwarves back from a tower, which are still in the tower, by the way, because they disappeared. And I was like, all right, we'll wait until we have like 40 dwarves. We'll train up 3 squads, and we'll start bashing this tower and try and rescue our dwarves back from a previous fort the week before. And then we never got a single trade caravan or migrant wave. And then I checked the Civ screen after 2 years going, kind of, what the fuck? Why am I not getting migrant waves? And we were at war with our own faction. So this faction is unplayable and in a state of civil war. And we're not sure why. So I want to figure out why this faction's in a state of civil war, why they're all killing each other, why they're actively invading their own forts, and what started it. One thing that I do know about this faction that's a little weird is their monarchy died. They had 2 queens, and the second queen died in the year 200, and since then they've had no monarch. So even though I realize these giant inner civ wars are a bug, in my mind, it's a fight for power between the different factions. That's a funny name. The Forgotten Beast Bobe. B-O-B-E, Bobby. Bobby. Skinned Blech. Became an enemy of the Cobalt Crypts. The billowing crested torment of the bloated ruthlessness. So battles have kind of started here. They really like their crossbow throwing competitions in this group. Means raunch? It's just a funny sounding word, that's all. But Bobby means raunch. Means a raunchy individual for sure, if he's an enemy of this civ. I mean, this civ isn't free of drama and raunchiness themselves. Bum, 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 bum. Which means we're going to be skimming through a lot of this. Although, you know, we're already like a 10th of the way through, so it's not going to take that long. Maybe 15 minutes to kind of skim all this. Watch me miss it, though. Lots of ceremonies. Yeah, but all I know is now in the current year, Crazed Paints, which is the mountain home, is constantly invading other members of the dwarf. Ushat Battle Whip became Baroness of the Cobalt. It's a good name. Ushat Battle Whip. Battle Whip is a good name. Wonder how a dwarf gets a name like Battle Whip, considering dwarves can't even make whips. Maybe they stole a whip from a human in battle. Or their parents did, or something. Battle Whip. Battle Whip. Like whip. Trust me, shitting out a Battle Whip doesn't feel good. That's what happens when you eat too much KFC. Shitting out Battle Whips for next week. Sculpt Blossoms. No, Sculpt Blossoms. The Mighty Blister. The Hydra. Mafuya Sculpt Blossoms became an enemy of the Cobalt Crypts. The mid-80s. I have a feeling like this doesn't start until after the year 200 when the second queen dies. But it's always kind of... Detiri Sea-webbed. That's interesting. Several groups, including the Cobalt Crypts, swore to support the Dagger of Steam in war if the latter did likewise. Is that an alliance, I think? Up there in the year 92. Several groups, including the Cobalt Crypts, swore to protect the Dagger of Steam in war if the latter did otherwise, likewise. That sounds like an alliance, yeah. I know very little about that faction that they swore to protect. It's not a faction I've really dug into much. But that's kind of part of the fun. It's being like, oh, I don't actually know much about this. Let's dig into them now. Because they, I'm sure, have just as rich a lore as this group. In the year 96, the necromancer Domas or Order Manson became the Baron of the Cobalt Crypts. Wonder if they were a necromancer at the time of becoming Baron. Starting to see a few invasions, but nothing too weird. I haven't seen the Cobalt Crypts attack the Cobalt Crypts yet. Wrestling competition, ceremony, foot race. I mean, I could see, okay, I could see a crossbow throwing competition going one of two ways, right? You could shot put them, so like throw them this way, or you could do like the hammer toss where you like spin in circles and then throw them. Like, I don't know, I could see it. I mean, I don't know why it's a practical skill, but I could see it well, do it well. I like this. The laborious volcano of the Cobalt Crypts founded post-prisons. The dwarf English Letterbegin fooled the Cobalt Crypts into believing he was a dwarf monk at some work contests of the doctrine of ramparts. Wonder why. That might be an interesting story. The story of English Letterbegin fooling the Cobalt Crypts into believing he was the dwarf Esm work contests. Why would you want to impersonate that dwarf? I wonder. Oh, look at that. They finally defeated, in 103, they defeated the bloated ruthlessness and pillaged monster revealed. Cobalt Crypts had a ceremony. The hot silvers, the dragon. Parched Branded became an enemy of the Cobalt Crypts. They founded another fortress in Whipdoors. I don't know. Out of all of the competitions I've seen them have, I think crossbow throwing competitions is amusing, but I think just the general foot races or wrestling competitions are always amusing to me. Or rather, any of them are amusing to me when like demons are taking part. That always is, I find kind of funny. I always like imagine it kind of like Dragon Ball Z competitions where it's just like, oh, it's the greatest fighters from the entire world, and it's like, well, competing this year is like 2 aliens, this weird reincarnated dude, a demon, Satan himself, and a normal man. just a dude. Guess who wins? I always found that kind of amusing. It's like Satan, Domas, 2 aliens, a goblin, an elephant man, and a gerbil. Who wins? We'll find out next time on Urist Fortress. Zed. 10 gold on the dude. I mean, if the dude's got one eye... That was always the weirdest thing to me about Dragon Ball Z, was whatever the name of the dude was with one eye, that no one ever, like, acknowledged the fact about that he had an eye in the middle of his forehead, and then every now and again it blinked. It's like, why do you have an eye in the middle of your forehead? Oh, dude, Domas is a legendary spear dwarf. And you know what is the thing about Domas that no one expects is that he's also a legendary dancer. That's where he gets his agility from. You can't handle the tap dancing moves on the wrestling floor. Just it breaks out into song. Just annoys the competitors off the stage. That's something I wish would happen, is wrestling competitions in taverns. I would love that to happen. Just like alongside of dances, it's like, oh, it's a wrestling competition. It's like if dwarves happen to have combat, maybe instead of dancing, they'll do a wrestling competition. That would be really cool. Then you'd get victors and positive and negative moods based on who got the victor. They attack the righteous hatchets at ring gleams. The righteous hatchets. Who's that? See, sword throwing, I would imagine, would be identical to axe throwing, right? And all the kids are doing axe throwing now, right? So I could totally see sword throwing just being like a over the head, like, you know what I mean? Like, I could see that. Although, sword throwing nowhere near as cool as miscellaneous object throwing. Dwarf 1 threw a sword. Dwarf 2 threw a block. Dwarf 3 threw a piece of wood. Dwarf 4 threw a book. Dwarf 5 threw a dwarf. Wait, what? Dwarf 5 threw her baby. Miscellaneous object throwing. You never know what they're going to toss. Man, I would. It's a shame there's no fire breathing. Could you imagine dwarven fire juggling? Like juggling flaming sticks, and then they just set themselves and each other on fire. It would be wonderful. Throw lava everywhere. Yours would probably do something like storm the political movement against the elves that no one cares about. I mean, what, in real life? Probably. Although I hope not. Oh, actually, no. Eurist in real life would probably be more like that one Onion article from a billion years ago, which they made a short video about, which has billions of views, which is literally just America's continuing to build their money hole. And America just digging a hole and dumping money in it. It's like, well, it's my money hole, and I can do what I want with it. Hold on, what was the actual wording of it? I'll find it and link it so you can watch it. Yeah, the government should stop dumping money into a giant hole. Should the government stop dumping money into a giant hole? There you go. That's probably what dwarves would do. Just dump money into a giant hole. Man, I wish that the Onions still had those types of videos, because I don't think they do. That shit was so good. He's on the History Channel talking about aliens. Okay, hold on. Which guy talking about aliens would he be? Would he be the guy with like really fuzzy hair who goes, ancient alien theorists believe that the answer is yes. Buy my book. I have 18 of them. None of them make any sense, and I keep writing them for some reason. I've slowed down a lot with this. I unironically love that show, though. Not that smart. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Ancient Aliens. I know it's all bullshit, but man, I love that show. That show is brilliant. Absolutely fucking brilliant. It's so dumb, but I get so into it. The Sly Laws. Blowlancer. This dwarf's last name is Blowlancer. I'm very mature. Yushrir Blowlancer. Is that what we call it now? Wait. Is that person Trumpet Dog like one of those crazy people? Is really an ex Blink 182 member like a crazy ancient alien theorist now? The Dwarf Rotten Slayer Toulon Post Raisers fooled the Cobalt Crypts into believing he was the Dwarf Prophet. A zombie fooled them into thinking that they were a prophet. He was on Joe Rogan. Well, see, I don't listen to Joe Rogan because Joe Rogan just irritates me. Like there's very few people out there that I listen to them talk and I just want to smack them upside the head. But Joe Rogan is one of those fucking people. Also, I love the name of this Hydra, Mutt. Mutt is such a good name for a Hydra. It's just this giant legendary creature. What do you call it? Mutt. M-U-T. Mutt. Of course he was. The Fortress group, you mean on Saturday, not yesterday? Although it might actually be yesterday for you. The Bronze Death, Barricade of Bronze, and Chapel Mothers were the three names. Barricade of Bronze. Bronze Death was the image. Wait, no, that's wrong. The Bent Face. The Bent Face was the name of the group yesterday. The Bent Face. Chainbreaker. Or Saturday, rather. It's Monday now here. So 2 days ago. Ceremonies and crossbow throwing. Recitals, ceremonies, crossbow throwing. Foot races. Processions. Festivals. At some point in the next 200 years, shit's gonna get dark. Hasn't yet. The Strifeful War. Interesting. Because I remember, what's the word? I remember seeing that one. That was one that we found on Saturday. But then after doing some scrolling up, we found a bunch of other battles previous to when I started embarking. Like 10 years before, where they were fighting with themselves. I mean, I could start it the other way and work my way backwards, but I feel like this is easier. Because I don't want to miss things. But yeah, we did definitely find that one. For reference, anybody just listening, the Gilded Bones Battle. And the Barricade of Bronze. The Strifeful War, which was between the same civ. Of course, the Barricade of Bronze was my faction. Also, we didn't even get both of our guaranteed migrant waves. We only got one. Actually, no, we did get both of them. I'm thinking about it. Yeah, we got both of the migrant waves. We got a migrant wave of 2 and then a migrant wave of like 5 or something. To a total of 14 dwarves, I think. The diminishment of fire. What's the diminishment of fire? I'm assuming it's an artifact, but I like disputes over fishing rights. That's always funny. It's always very funny when it's like goblins exist. Then goblins get into a dispute with elves over fishing rights. It's like, why are they arguing with elves over fishing rights? Such a random thing. Copper mail shirt. Must be a really nice copper shirt. In 2019, the company produced a history television show, Unidentified Insides Americans UFO Investigation about the USS and its UFO incident, which features the launch. Weird. Like, as much as I find that shit entertaining, I find it entertaining as entertainment, Trumpet Dog, not as, like, anything I take even remotely seriously. It's like, it's all, to me, looked at with, like, the most grains of salt. Like, I don't look at that as, like, oh, there's an even remote possibility that any of this is true. It's very much a, oh, this is all hogwash bullshit. I just find it amusing. Because I find it amusing, I watch it because I find it funny. So a pretty normal copper mail shirt then. And as always, Chad, if you find good stories, if you document them in a Google Doc, I will link them in the master doc if you give me a link. God, I can't stop yawning today. So fucking tired. We're about a quarter of the way through, I think. I'm hoping that we find the start of the story around the middle. Also, thanks everybody for chucking channel points into the day off channel challenge. Oh, also for those of you who maybe didn't notice, my bot's got a little auto thingy that it puts into the chat now, which it just did. So it has the most recent after hours highlight as well as the location and time of the next after hours. So you can go follow Jess if you want to catch the next after hours. Also, we have a exclamation point survey right now. No sleep. I did sleep. I slept for about 2 hours in the afternoon yesterday. I napped after stream. Then I had a pretty late meeting, and then after the meeting, I was just kind of wide awake. So I tried to snooze again and then kind of gave up. So I turned my stream on and clicked on some mines, which was fun. Going to war over a mail shirt, Dwarf Fortress? Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, the little survey is basically if you watch multiple members of Halcyon Frequency, it's valid to you, and we're just looking for some general feedback over the entire team. That's all. I wouldn't say it's fucked up. It's more of just doing a little bit of kind of getting used to it, you know? Just doing a little bit of getting used to it. And kind of got to, like, realign myself afterwards, you know? But how are we doing today, B-Lug? How's things? And Dragon Man, it's good to see you as well. Also, hi, cutest ghost. I saw you kind of pop in there, but didn't actually directly say hello. The Rough Helms. The proliferations of ringing at the Rough Helms and letter dashes. The proliferations of ringing. So fights broke out in 150. The Rough Helms defeated the curious Sacs of the Cobalt Crypts and took over Gully Glazes. The government was called the Diamond Drums. So this is another Dwarven Civ attacking them. So this is kind of where the fights begin, around year 150. Like, there was a few odd battles before this, but the battles really started here. The last problems you'll get from him? Was he a bad dev? I'm assuming somebody who you work with, right? That's interesting. That we're fighting with another Dwarven Civ. Would you buy it? I don't know. We were just like, I was trying to think of like kind of random shit to put on that one, and I was just like, that underwear? That's why I put a question mark on that. Question mark? It. Could it be a necromancer group? I mean, if anybody else here has the save installed, I'd love to know who the Rough Helms are. I think they're just a Dwarven faction. It's a necromancer group? Okay. Is it a tower then? So if the Rough Helms are a necromancer group, that's kind of where the fight started. Cobalt Crypts defeated the Rough Helms. The Eye of Nil. This is a lot of good names in this sentence here. The Cobalt Crypts defeated the Rough Helms and placed the Eye of Nil, Stodier Problem Bolted, in charge of letter dashes. The new government was called the Portal of Sandals. Isn't good enough? I get you. Yeah. I get you. The dwarf Doomed Ghoul, Godin Vision Dies, became the Baron of the Cobalt Crypts. I always wonder with things like that, it's like, were you a doomed ghoul when you became Baron, or is that something that happened after? Cobalt Crypt attacks the noiseless lenses of the disembowelment of chambers. Yeah, fighting is happening fights all start in the year 150, basically. As of year 150, this faction starts going to war. They have had a cave and a tower. Gotcha. As well as probably little spots that they took over. Holy crap. Hold on a second. Sinister. Dude. Thanks for that big-ass house. Holy shit. I almost missed that one. How you been, man? Still doing the worship stuff, right? That's what this is. So if anybody's wondering what this is, we're digging through Dwarf Fortress Legends. Legends is basically just like a script readout of all of the events in the generated worlds. And our whole purpose is to figure out the fuck happened to this civ, because this civilization that we're reading about eventually falls into full-on civil war to the point where they're unplayable. And I really would like to know what exactly in the fuck happened, because it's weird. Although it might actually be fun to run a bunch of little forts, like, attacking each other and, like, perpetuating the civil war. The actual save file is available to download if you type in !Dayforts. It's in this Google Drive. So if you open this Google Drive and download the pretentious domain number 3, it's the version of the world that I'm currently looking at, and a bunch of people in chat have it like set up and installed and are peeking through, and we are peeking through it. And it's just kind of like a collaborative, like investigative journey, I guess. And then we'll be playing Fortress mode in maybe like an hour or so on an older version of the game. But yeah, it's literally a Dwarf Fortress archaeology. It's a good time. So, what were you playing today, Sinister? It's not letting me stalk you. That's frustrating. Twitch is just straight up not loading for me. Uh-oh. Ah, you're doing World of Tanks. Gotcha. Watt. Playing that Watt. How is that stuff these days? I've been, like, weirdly tempted to start playing World of Warships with a friend. You were mining salt in World of Tank. Fair. A huge pile of salt to sell. Why is the pile of salt so big? Goes with the game. Fair, yeah. That style of game, just free-to-play games, dumb people, people who don't care, people who don't try, all that stuff just kind of adds up to unpleasantness, you know? You know what I think is really funny? More people, and this is mostly for Cutest Ghost in chat, more people are interested in underwear than phone cases. That's funny. Just dump it. I mean, like, at this, depending on where you are in the world, you could sell the salt off for quite a bit. If you sell it to, like, the city, you know, we need it to get the snow off the roads. How much snow do you have? Have you guys been getting a lot of snow, Be-Like? I haven't talked to my little sister in a bit. Be-Like, whenever I do venture out to Quebec to visit my little sister, I have to have a beer with you at some point. We'll do that before 2030, I swear. I think I'm going to try and... Didn't have that much. It's not really that much for damage. Yeah, I've heard it's just been windy over there. Yeah, the battles seem to have stopped. So there was like a brief spat of a whole bunch of battles. A dwarf sacred zombie became a countess. We're not quite at the point where the last monarch dies. Baron Duchess. A lot of wrestling competitions, ceremonies. Dwarves are fooling the Cobalt Crypts into believing that they are dwarves from the Cobalt Crypts. Things are just slowly getting weird with this faction. Like, there was that... It started off just perfectly normal. Then And then as things have been going, it's like things have just been getting weirder and darker. It's like Necromancer becomes a Baron. Zombie becomes a Baron. It's like the first queen dies. There's a brief spat of wars and fights with the The creature of shadow, fate dead, the faint burial. What is that? Fated dead, the faint burial. I mean, don't mind all of the intelligent undead that are in royalty in this world. Because there's a bunch of those, Reinhardt. There's a bigger variation in sizes of phones and people's hips. Yeah, but most companies that offer merchandise in the shape of in the form of phone cases are just like, we support every phone, so like you kind of have to at that point. Fated dead, the faint burial. Yes. This thing 159. The creature of shadow, fated dead, the faint burial, became an enemy of the Cobalt Crypts. I mean, I've been kind of humming and hawing over what I want to do when I do start going to conventions again. One of the things the first thing I want to do, once I'm able to actually travel again, is I don't want to go to TwitchCon. Like, I think I'm going to take a whole year off of TwitchCon and PAXs. But I do want to go to, I want to try and go to the roguelike celebration is something I would like to go to, which is in San Francisco. Normally it's a yearly event, but this past year it happened digitally. I would like to go to that. That's the next convention I want to go to. And it's much cheaper than any other convention. Like, to give you an idea, TwitchCon tickets are $200. The roguelike celebration is $60. So there's that. A lot of foot races. Things kind of went back to normal. Just kind of skimming again. Trying to cover some distance here. Got us through a few years. Necromancers are starting to win the competitions. Whoa, what happens here? The Inky Triangles defeated the Everlasting Lashings of the Cobalt Crypts. The Cobalt Crypts took over Dwelling Laver. The Inky Triangles defeated the Courteous Boots of the Cobalt Crypts. Man, they got wrecked by the Inky Triangles. I'm not sure who they are either. And then, so in 168, the Inky Triangles just like lashed out and attacked a whole bunch of Cobalt Crypt settlements. Then the Cobalt Crypts fought back. And they defeated at least one of them, one of their spots. Then things kind of went back to normal. Was the youngest son of Severe Lance a one-eyed humanoid. It has thin wings of stretched skin, and it's black and leathery. That was Fated Dead, the Faint Burial, a night troll. Ah, okay. I figured it was one of the adventure mode creatures. I really wish the adventure mode creatures would show up in Fortress mode. I really wish they would. Yeah, 2021 will definitely be digitally. 2022 would probably be the next time it happens. But even then, 2023, I think, is when I'll consider going to conventions again. Made an artifact barrel out of zircon. I've had artifact barrels made out of sard. I've had quite a few gem barrels, but the most recent one I had was made out of sard. I really like artifact barrels. Artifact barrels are awesome, in my opinion. Usually I just put them on a pedestal in my tavern. Yeah, it seems to... The Festival of Cats! No wonder they're doomed. They're crazy cat dwarves. Oh, that's funny. The Festival of Cats. Yeah, all of these are parts of the yearly Festival of Cats. Celebration of Wire and the Festival of Cats. The queen dies in about 10 years from where we're at. How you doing, by the way, Spitalier? I really wish I streamed some of that mud or took part in it, because I streamed throughout the whole thing, so I missed all of that stuff. I knew it was happening, but I don't know. I kind of was just wrapped up in my own shit. I really should have streamed it. That would have been really cool, I think. I don't think anybody would have watched it, but I think it would have been fun. That would have been like the equivalent of IRL streaming on a floor. One of the more annoying days today. I hope you got enough sleep last night. Sorry if I'm not speaking much, but I'm just kind of like skimming these as best I can. Ooh. 183. The early winter of the year 183. The Goblin Nako Iron Witch plotted to infiltrate the Cobalt Crypts in order to prepare a coup under the influence of the goblin doomed ghoul Nako branded nightmares. Ooh. Might be worth looking at. May or may not be worth looking at. I mean, potentially nothing came of it, but that's something I'd be curious to know about. Nako Iron Witch. Things kind of just continued on as normal. Plenty of events. Plenty of celebrations, partying. Images and candles. Another necromancer became a baroness. Oh, also, I need to basically state that the winner of the game vote on Patreon is War Sim for the month. Next month, I will be doing another game poll for a game that we play. And so, as of tomorrow, probably not today because I'm very tired today, but as of tomorrow, in the evenings, we're going to start doing War Sim as our evening game, which is very much a lot of reading. It's like this, the video game, but with multiple choices. So that'll be kind of fun, I hope. More processions, more normal stuff. So shout outs to War Sim, because we'll be streaming some of that. Also hit up the developer and let him know. Maybe we can get him in chat. I love the storytelling recitals. The whole concept of storytelling recitals is neat to me. I love the concept of the Festival of Cats. The Crypt of Halls. The Cobalt Crypts constructed the Crypt of Halls. Also, I swear that I'm not just following this faction the most because they have the word crypt in their name. They were just the first one on the list. Not much going on right here. An elf. Cobra drills became an enemy of the Cobalt Crypts. We gained a countess. A diplomat. The dwarf necromancer. Sazir became the diplomat of the Cobalt Crypts. An elf plotted to infiltrate the Cobalt Crypts in order to prepare a coup. Probably nothing came of that. Well, we're past halfway through. Chat, what do you guys think of these kinds of Legends deep dives? I don't know if they're interesting to follow at all. I'm just kind of curious from your guys' points of view. Yeah, I'm starting to see... Ooh. What was that? The Cobalt Crypts attacked the Silvery Teeth of the Tangled Citadels. Tangled Citadels sounds like a... Okay, that's a good name. The Tangled Citadels defeated the Hammer of Combating of the Cobalt Crypts and took over Stroked Dagger. Nice. The new government was called the Silvery Teeth. Shortly thereafter, the Cobalt Crypts attacked the Silvery Teeth of Tangled Citadels at Stroke Dagger. The Dwarf Dascot led the attack. The Cobalt Crypts defeated the Tangled Citadels and pillaged Stroke Dagger. And then they attacked their other one and destroyed them. Don't see any other combat. A Dwarf Rakust Gravel Breed became the Duke of the Cobalt Crypts in the year 215. I was kind of expecting more combat to be erupting at this point. Also, chat, we're a little bit lurky, which is fine because I'm reading through Legends. Can I get a round of beers in chat by chance? If you're just listening to this stream, I'd love to know. No? Okay. No beer would mean you'd have to drink water. That would be absolutely Whoa, 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 whoa. In the year 217, the Cobalt Crypts held a procession in crazed paints as part of the Festival of Cats. It started at the Granite Shrine and ended at the House of Paging. The event featured criers in front. Isn't that a goblin culture? Fair enough, cutest. Or coffee. Criers. Chat, isn't that a goblin thing? I thought it was goblins that always featured criers. I mean, are they? You're asking me that question. I'm asking you that question, and you just asked me the question that I asked you. So do you know? I thought that was a goblin thing. I thought criers were a thing that goblins had in ceremonies, not dwarves. So not a normal part. Okay. I mean, that's the first time I've noticed. I wonder if this was just like a slow-worked necromancer hostile takeover. That's kind of what it reads like. Like, the deeper I get into this, the more and more and more... for those of you who maybe missed it, it certainly seems like... So what happened was this entire faction is, from what I can tell, unplayable. Because they're just... Criers are surely normal? Really? I feel like I never see those in Dwarven civs. But anyway, this faction is probably unplayable. Hey Danks, what's up? This faction is mostly unplayable, it seems, because they're in a massive state of constant civil war. And we're trying to figure out where it started and what caused it. And why they're just, like, all killing each other. We're doing a little bit of archaeology. Danks. Doing a little bit of archaeology, and then we're going to go play Long Death after this. But yeah, if criers are normal, I feel like I never see them as part of Dwarven groups, but... Just like I always feel like candles are a weird one for dwarves. But maybe it's just my experience in Legends is limited. Doomed Ghoul has become Baron. But yeah, I'm just slowly seeing more and more necromancers. More and more necromancers, more and more doomed ghouls, more and more intelligent undead. I feel like it was just a slow descent into eventual chaos. Really long day? Long day of work stuff? I mean, long days can be good. Hopefully it was long and productive and not long, boring, and unproductive. 2 normal-ass dwarves became baronesses. That's good. I've got your interest. I'm doing my best. I thought I had your interest with halcyon frequency underwear, though. Also, I just got a DM from a friend. Stating that a concert that he had tickets for in June just got canceled, so we're canceling concerts in June now in BC. And he's mad because they didn't give him a full refund. They just gave him credit. He's like, so I now have credit. It's like, great. Oh, look at this. In 227, the Goblin and Asno Maling Beasts. Manglin Beasts? Malglin Beasts? Malign Beasts. Became the Baroness of Cobalt Crypts. A goblin. So as of 227, we have goblin royalty. Otter underpants? I mean, that would be utterly absurd. I mean, like, we're joking about it, but, like, every single, like, merch printing site on Earth has options for, like, women's and men's underwear. Nobody uses them, but you can do it. You want, like, Scully boxers? I could probably make them. You want a Scully thong? I could probably do that. Does anybody actually want that, though? Well, no, but I could do it. I could make that happen. Bastet's like, I'd buy 12 pairs and put them on my walls. More crossbow throwing competitions. You know, all of a sudden I'm regretting that I haven't been screenshotting this as I've been going. Welp. You never know until you try. I mean, for whatever it's worth, I probably shouldn't be leaking all of the data from the rather large number of responses we've gotten on that survey yet, but the most requested piece of merchandise is... Actually, chat, guess. What do you think would the most requested piece of merchandise be? I'm curious if you guys are correct. Mugs. Dwarf became the Baroness. More recitals, more performances, ceremonies, processions, more recitals, story recitals, ceremonies, foot race. Mugs, yes. Also, if you're wondering what I'm talking about, exclamation point survey in the chat. Me and my stream team are doing a little survey to kind of get information about the people who watch our streams, who of us you watch, who you watch the most. It's completely optional. You don't have to fill any of it out if you don't want to. But it's just a little bit of data gathering so that we can do better as a stream team, I guess. We're going to run it for the rest of the week, probably. Maybe 2 weeks, even. It'll be up there for a bit, but... yeah, if you fill it out, it helps. It's all anonymous. We're not actually tracking any of your information. We don't need your email or anything. It's just, if you watch me or any members of my stream team, it's helpful. Kelly hands on the butt. I'm gonna just, like, ruin your dreams and hopes, Bastet. I don't think we're gonna do underwear. That's kind of a joke. But, I mean, if it's overwhelmingly requested, I'm just imagining, like, the response to a DM of me sending Cooler a DM saying, hey, could you draw me an underwear design? He'd be like, what's wrong with you? Redbeard, what's up? It's good to see you, man. Also, who's excited for the Tarn Adams interview on the 11th? I'm looking forward to it. I've had a couple random people pop in and state that they've been looking forward to it, so should be fun. The Lion Limb Poet Machines. The fuck is the Lion Limb Poet Machines? That doesn't sound like any faction name I've ever read. quite literally. That sounds unlike any faction name I've ever read. What the hell? The Lion Limb Poet Machines, near 235, became the enemy of the Cobalt Crypts. The Lion Limb Poet Machines. What the hell does that mean? Yes, that would be because of the survey. Yeah. Redbeard. Exclamation point survey. Is it a literal lion? So they named the lion Limb Poet Machines. Okay. Well, huh. That must have been a hell of a lion. I wonder how many chickens it killed. Well, I'm glad that people are getting chuckles out of the underwear comment, because that's the only real point behind that, is it was just kind of a, let's make people grin while filling out a relatively serious survey. Whoopsies. I mean, this seems way up your alley, Stone. Discovering the secrets and stories of an actual lion. Yeah, right, Plum Spawn? Just a literal fucking lion. The Cobalt Crypts attacked robust handles, the robust handles, at post-war. Post-war is a good name. And they defeated them. Don't know. The robust handles must have been like a mercenary crew or something. Oh, Cobalt Crypts attacked them again in 236. They attacked the... Okay. So in the year 236, the Cobalt Crypts attacked the staff artifices of the Shade robust handles at Omenweald. The dwarf Cole Inky Channel led the attack. The Cobalt Crypts defeated the robust handles and pillaged Omenweald. Certainly a career with a lot of sleeping time. I mean, I never said there was anything wrong with being a lion. I just simply stated that it's weird to be like scrolling through and seeing all these like necromancers and skeletons and like random off fights between different crews, and then just like a lion. A lion became the enemy of the faction that we're reading about. It's like, huh? What? Excuse me? What exactly did I just see? Is my mic peaking? It looks like it is. I'm gonna turn it down. Windows updated the other day and it broke all my, or redid all of my audio settings, so I had to redo them. I mean, I wrote the questions down. The rest of the team spell checked it and proofread it, but I wrote it. So I'd added in some other joke responses, but we took out those. So I left in the under one because I thought it would be funny. And it seems to be funny because it's sticking in everybody's brain. Although, I think of it as this way, right? It's proof that you read it. You didn't just like skim through it all and just click random shit. You actually read it because you saw and noted the underwear comment. So to me, it's just like confirming that the survey's working, if anything. I think that this is just good marketing. And then other people go fill out the survey because they want to know why the fuck we're talking about underwear. I think it's just like intelligent writing. Really. The Pulpy Abbey. The mangy doctrines of the Cobalt Crypts constructed the Pulpy Abbey in Violent Worked. None of those sound like Dwarven names. I mean, of course. Limb Poet Machines lived from 228 to 238. He was of unknown parents. He ate a nanny goat. He ate a nanny goat in Door Guild in 325. faction of the Cobalt Crypts and then died of old age. So he became the enemy of the Cobalt Crypts for eating a goat. What a good lion. I'm sure he had a good life. How long do lions live? Do they really only live like 10 years? What? Lion lifespan. How long do lions live? Lions live about 10 to 16 years in the wild. While in captivity, they live as long as 20 to 25 years. Yeah, see, the captivity one seems a little bit more accurate to me. Man, that's wild. No, he ate... Oh, I think that Stone typed in the wrong number there. I'm assuming Stone meant... Wait, hold on a second. How the heck... What? He ate an nanny goat 100 years after he died? Did you mistype that, Stone? How do you eat a nanny goat 100 years after you die? The Ripe Letters defeated the noseless portal of the Cobalt Crypts and took over Violent Worked. The new government was called the Diamonds of Haze. In the year 239, the Ripe Letters defeated the Intense Metal of the Cobalt Crypts and took over Tin Routed. The new government was called the Future Addicts. The Ripe Letters defeated the Spears of Tongs of the Cobalt Crypts and took over City Justice. The new government was called the Papers of Wind. City Justice is a name that we saw a whole lot the other day when we were looking at this group's legends. The Future Addicts of the Ripe Letters, Tin Routed, the Dwarf. Okay, so the Cobalt Crypts attacked the Future Addicts at the Ripe Letters at Tin Routed. And Cole Inky Channeled, who's a pretty long-standing Dwarf in this faction, led the attack. They defeated them. The Cobalt Crypts attacked the Paper of Winds at City Justice and defeated the Ripe Letters and placed The Cobalt Crypts defeated the Ripe Letters and placed Iguts Fikod Soldier Abam Guildwith. That's a name. In charge of City Justice. The new government was called the Arrow of Blood. The Cobalt Crypts attacked the Ripe Letters at Boat Simples. The Dwarf Cole Inky Channel led the attack. In the summer of 239, the Cobalt Crypts defeated the Ripe Letters and destroyed Boat Stimples. True, totally, Redbeard, but I don't know. I feel like an animal that large would live longer. I don't know. I always kind of thought that like they would live like 25 to 35 years kind of thing. Or like even like a horse's lifespan. I don't know, 15 to like 20 in the wild seems young. Oh, good job, Plump Spawn. It doesn't. It does not. That was just always my like impression of lions. It's completely unfounded. It's got absolutely no basis in reality. It's just I always kind of thought that they would live longer. In fact, bigger the animal, the shorter they live in a lot of cases, unless we're talking about like whales. New Baron in the year 240. More crossbow throwing competitions, processions, recitals. But then again, biology was never another doomed ghoul. Pibu, gloss dipped, human doomed ghoul became a baroness. How does that happen? It's a very mixed faction. Ooh, the human gel Revere taxes fooled the Cobalt Crypts into believing he was the human prophet Mincot Leafroad of the Cobalt Crypts. And then the goblin Atu Horror-Riddled plotted to infiltrate the Cobalt Crypts in order to prepare a coup under the influence of the dwarf necromancer Moril Quakepaddled. I feel like I've seen Quakepaddled before. The Cobalt Crypts held a ceremony, and they go back to normal. There's a lot of plotting and criminal activity going on. The Emrin's Folly, Burr Whipknower, became an enemy of the Cobalt Crypts. 2 Emrin's Folly. Yeah, see, that seems more like what I would expect. Like, if someone were to ask me, how long does a gorilla live? I don't know. I would guess 35 to 40 years, just off the top of my head. Because obviously Disney's Tarzan is a documentary about gorillas, right? They also have great musical taste, as seen in Trash in the Camp. / sarcasm. 2 new baronesses in the year 248. I'm just waiting for all-out war to happen. Yeah, again, that I would also guess around that 40 to 50 years for a hippo. Bleh. Bleh. Random yawn. I mean, we were looking at hippo skulls recently. There was a really good meme I saw a while ago of a hippo's skull, and it was like, creature's skull found. What scientists propose it looks like, and it's like this weird, skinny, dragon-like looking creature, and then it's like, the reality, and it's like a hippo. Because hippos' skulls are terrifying. If anybody here hasn't seen a hippo's skull, just go to your favorite search engine of choice and look up hippo skull. It is scary looking. Pretty normal stuff going on here. No fighting. Lots of ceremonies. Random animals becoming enemies of the Cobalt Crypts. New countess. Whoop. The Cobalt Crypts attacked the beloved apes of the Prusse Waves at touched clasps. Dwarf led the attack. They defeated them. They also attacked the Prusse Waves at crowded Perlex. Or Perplex. Defeated them both. Oh, did you catch a rock in a trap? Yeah, they're not trap avoid. Fun fact, you can breed them if you get two. I want to say you can also tame them. New Baron. We were talking about this the other day. Plump helmet. Or plump spawn. I keep wanting to call you plump helmet spawn. Force of habit. It would probably just die to the goblins. Goblins have enough, like, archers / crossbows that usually they would just have no issues. Another Necromancer's Baroness. Whoa! The Forgotten Beast. Utstu routed the Horay Anvil of the Cobalt Crypts and destroyed tool prestige. It's nothing that exists in the... Yeah, but, like, that's what my brain always goes to. Like, when I read plump and spawn, my brain just automatically inserts the word helmet. But yeah, there it is. Merc sunk. Routed the Horay Anvil of the Cobalt Crypts and destroyed tool prestige. It's kind of rare to see, like, Forgotten Beasts actually take out entire Dwarven forts. So you have to keep those apart? Yeah, but, like, you can still use them. Same with dragons. Like, your dwarves will just behead a dragon if you tame it. You'll tame it, and then your dwarves will just run past and behead it. Keep moving. More big constructions. The Diamonds of Clearing of the Cobalt Crypts constructed the Dank Permanency Abyss. The Dank Permanency Abyss. What even is that? Yeah, I can see why you would, Danks. Don't ask too many questions. Oh, would you look at that? We have a new king. After it's like 60 years of no monarchy, the dwarf Lorbam Spunbrass became the king of the Cobalt Crypts. So the monarchy comes back. It only took like 60 years. But at some point the king dies. I know that that's like not a spoiler, and that's just how age works, but like in the current year there is no king. It's a catacombs, so it's like where coffins are kept. That's kind of cool, actually. Coffin skeletons piled up on the floor. Yeah, same things. Totally the same things. Although one is more convenient for necromancers to cause a sudden surprise fun army. So maybe not quite the same thing. Coffins are slightly less concerning. I mean, that's kind of what we did with our dead at one point. We just like chuck them in a big hole and put a, like, cover it up. Everyone else is just left in the hallways. Yeah. Dwarves are not super respectful for their dead in World Gen, that's for sure. Creature of Shadow. Lots of the same. Dwarf Bumwreck Drumlancer began embezzling funds as an outpost liaison of the Cobalt Crypts. What a twit. And before that's what actually starts the war? New diplomat. That's interesting. We had a necromancer previously that was the diplomat. More of the same. Classism DF style. Yeah. I don't know. I would love to see an overhaul. I would love to see that map overhaul. That's something that I'm very much looking forward to as part of the Myths and Magic stuff is the map update. But all that stuff's far off. You know, chat, I have a question for you guys. Do you guys think that the audience of people who listen to DF Talk and the audience of people who watch, let's just say, my videos on YouTube are the same audience, or do you think that they're a different audience? Because I'm trying to decide how to format the Tarn Adams interview that I'm going to do on the 11th. And I'm trying to figure out if the people who watch or listen to DF Talk on the Bay 12 Games website are the same group of people who watch my YouTube videos, or if they're a different group of people. Because if they're a different group of people, then it would totally be worth replaying similar questions. You read The Future of the Fortress? Okay. Because, like, I feel like every other episode, there's two things that are covered on DF Talk, and that's no, Tarn isn't really planning on adding multiplayer because he has no idea how to code a multiplayer game, and he would have to learn. Second thing, or the three things that get asked, and then second thing is, would it be helpful even remotely to add more people to the team? And Tarn has a very long list of reasons why it wouldn't be, mostly because of his workflow. And then the third thing is, when's Myths and Magic out, and he explains like the concept of Myths and Magic every time. But like, if you guys don't listen to that, it would probably be more worth repeating those questions. Although we've already done the multiplayer one on our show, so maybe skip that. I really like those crossbow throwing competitions. Cool info, but sort of redundant. Yeah, that's why I think it's like it's kind of redundant, but at the same time, I think it might be worth like. Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna take a real quick toilet break because apparently I need to pee. So I will be back in like a minute. Yeah, totally. And it'll have the features that it'll have when it has the feature that it has. Yeah, that's something I kind of want to I kind of want to hear him talk about. Like, I want to know what kind of quality of life improvements he's like. We have a pretty good idea of what Fortress mode is going to look like in the Steam version. I want to know. Yeah, that's not the same thing though. And like spin-off mods, like there's actually like at least there's 3 that I can think of off the top of my head that loosely make DF work in multiplayer. But like I don't know. That's like the last thing I want Tarn to add to DF. I think what we should just have is just a better save sharing function, and that's more than enough. Just allow us to share worlds easily on the Steam Workshop, and we don't need multiplayer in my opinion. Because like in my opinion, what we're doing right now is Dwarf Fortress multiplayer. Maybe not the most popular opinion, but in my belief, that's what we are doing right now. This is Dwarf Fortress multiplayer. Like, chat, if you currently are listening to this stream and have this save open in Legends or in any format, press 1 in chat. Because I think this is the closest thing that you really need to DF multiplayer. And I know a lot of people don't necessarily agree with me, but like just this kind of group archaeology stuff is real neat. So at least 3, because I know Stone also has it open. I'm also seeing a lot of elves all of a sudden taking part in the crossbow throwing competitions, which is interesting. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Please don't ever ruin Dwarf Fortress with that garbage. It ruined RimWorld for me. Please don't ruin Dwarf Fortress with that garbage. God, I hate that shit so much. Putting chat integration into games instantly ruins them for me in most instances. Lots of foot races. Because then immediately it segments the audience of people that want to watch the game on Twitch. And what it does is, I mean, it would be pretty easy to do with DF hack, which is the scary part, and I'm scared it's going to happen. Uh-oh, we got wars. The oily brands defeated the Vault of Gravel of the Cobalt Crypts and took over Bearweald. New government was called the Wheels of Combat. Wheels of Combat, ooh. Rolling, rolling, rolling. But yeah, it segments the audience, and then there's always just going to be a portion of people that only want to watch the one where they have Twitch integration, and then there's going to be a portion of people that don't want to watch that, ever. You sort of could do it. Well, I mean, you can just spawn shit in DF hack. So you could literally just do it with DF hack integration, but it would be awful. I really hope it never happens. And if it does, I hope it doesn't get popular. Because, fuck, it ruins so many games. And then the problem is then you have streamers that then open up the game and play the game specifically because it has that. Like, there's a whole crowd of streamers that will play games specifically because they have Twitch integration and will only play those games. And then people learn the game real badly because of that. It's just, it sucks. It sucks on every level. I hate Twitch integration so much. It's, like, easily my least favorite. And, like, there's so much of that shit now. Like, you know, there's Marbles on stream, which is kind of fine because it's, like, it's its own separate thing. There's Stream Raiders, which is kind of fine because it's its own separate thing, even though I don't care for it. But, like, ugh, God, man, I hate that shit so much. I really wish it would just die and go away. Because I fucking hate that shit. Cobalt Crypt attack the rips of rope. Hey, Gate Nerd. I'm doing a deep dive on the Cobalt Crypts, which is one of the factions in our day fort. Wait, where's Facebeak? Is Facebeak a faction name? I mean, I would too. The dwarves have escaped Dwarf Fortress and are attacking Facebook. Go get them, boys! Oh, Giant Tiger Facebeak? 304? I don't see this. Oh, I see. Yeah, no. I do see. Yeah, the giant tiger face beak became an enemy of the Cobalt Crypts. Stone, we've got another thing for you to look up. What did the giant tiger do to become an enemy of the Cobalt Crypts? Also, giant tigers? That's awesome. Face beak. Yeah, I would read that as Facebook too. What's funny is book is a word. It would be possible to call something Facebook. Although one of the funniest generated names I ever saw was a screenshot. I didn't actually get this myself, but somebody generated a name for their fortress, and the word bulbous is a dwarf fortress name, or a word in dwarfish, and the word soar is a dwarfish name. So bulbous soar is a legitimate dwarf fortress name. Minecraft, yeah, I've seen Minecraft. Which is kind of hilarious. Hot lanes defeated the warm boots. Whips of rope, oily brands. So a lot of fights happening here, a lot of invasions. Cobalt Crypts attacked the Paints of Glorifying of the Tot launches. So they're fighting with the Tot launches, which I think is an elven group. They held a wrestling competition. A giant jaguar became an enemy of the Cobalt Crypts. Tomb Finder. So Facebeak and Tomb Finder. Giant jaguar and a giant tiger. Hell yeah. Also, chat, I need to stick it to the man for a second here because, we got, what, 70 people watching me read, not entirely out loud, history about a specific Dwarf Fortress faction. People tell me that Dwarf Fortress isn't entertaining. My arse. Held a ceremony. Whoa. Whoa, what happened in 309? The mistake of Abbey Power. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 mistakes of Abbey Power. All became enemies of the Cobalt Crypts in the year 309. Someone must have created a bunch of horrifying experiments. We're almost at the bottom. Haven't seen them start invading each other yet, but it's going to happen. In before it really was me embarking that started the Civil War. The Cobalt Crypts defeated the oily brands and placed the elf enjoyed growth in Bearweald. The new government was called the Feral Boat. More creatures of shadow. More throwing competitions. More recitals. Story recitals, foot races. More foot races, more wrestling competitions, processions. Yeah, I'm starting to think maybe we caused it. Oops. Ceremony and craze paints. Performance bewildering. More ceremonies, ceremonies, foot race, ceremony, wrestling, foot race, processions. In the late spring of 231, the Cobalt Crypts swore to support the Ultimate Unions in war, which is the Ultimate Unions is a human faction, if the latter did likewise. The Cobalt Crypts defeated the Cobalt Calls and pillaged touch clasps. Well, there we go. The Cobalt Crypts swore to support the Ultimate Unions in war. The Cobalt Calls defeated the Diamonds of Clearing of the Cobalt Crypts and took over Whipwill. The new government was called the Hatchets of Conflagration. The Cobalt Crypts attacked the Winds of Mining at the Cobalt Calls in touch streaks, and Erush led the attack. The Cobalt Crypts defeated the Cobalt Calls and pillaged touched clasps. The Cobalt Crypts attacked the Hatchets of Conflagrations at Cobalt Calls. I thought that was Cobalt Calls. When does the Civil War start? Sometime in the next 50 years. On Saturday, we found at least 2 events where they fought with themselves. Cobalt Crypts are not Cobalt Calls, though. Okay, so they attacked the Hatchets of Conflagration again at Whipmill. They defeated them, and a dwarf was put in charge of Whipwill. The new government was called the Bent Vestibule? Vestibule? Is that the word? Cobalt Crypts held foot races. The human Arab battled boar fooled the Cobalt Crypts into believing it was the human prophet. Whip enters of the Cobalt Crypts. Creature of Shadow, Rash Ashen Death. That's a fucking cool name. Rash the Ashen Death became the enemy of the Cobalt Crypts in 234. Rash the Ashen Death. Good name. Another Necromancer is another Baroness. Oh, look at that. 237 and Etten attacked them. The Amethyst. Rights free the Amethyst. Etten's rights free the Amethyst. The creature Mate of Shadowcog became an enemy of the Cobalt Crypts. No fights throughout the 230s or 330s. Yeah, I'm really starting to think it was us that caused it. I'll be honest, I was really hoping, like, AI started it, but I'm very worried now that we started it. Wow. Well, we're almost at the bottom. Yeah, it's. I think that the fight that Stone found at the beginning was the start of it. Don't want to say I've just wasted all of your time, but we did find out that they have a new king, which is kind of cool. It is kind of hilarious, though, that... Oh, hold up. Cobalt Crypts attacked the tenebrous roars of the amazing lengths at Quest Blossoms. Cobalt Crypts defeated them. The Cobalt Crypts held a ceremony. The heck? The Cobalt Crypts can finish the construction of the Living Road, connecting a whole bunch of forts. They built a whole bunch of roads in the year 348. That's so cool. Roads in DF are super neat to me. Some of my favorite shit are roads. An elf became a baron of the Cobalt Crypt, so I think is still the elf to current playtime days. Or I think is still alive. More ceremonies and performances, recitals, foot races. A human fooled them into thinking they were a poet. Must be a shitty poet. And then this is where weird shit seems to happen. Okay, this is where we are. No, actually that's not true. In the year 351, the crazy ropes of the Cobalt Crypts launched an expedition to reclaim Glowing Channel. The innocent boar attached to the watchful pillar of the Cobalt Crypts. The innocent boar defeated the wishful pillar. The new government was called the Sienna Heathers. This might be it. The innocent boar attacked the ripe rampart and the Cobalt Crypts. They were led by them. The innocent boar attacked the Cave of Man. An elf led the attack. They attacked again and again. Damn, they attacked a lot. Attacked the Papers of Frenzy, the Mansion of Order, the Full of Diamonds. And then the Cobalt Crypts start fighting back. Yeah. And then suddenly the Civ becomes unplayable. It's literally a free-for-all. Yeah, well, it can cause that. It can cause, like, basically a mass faction-wide total breakdown of all functioning Dwarven activity. So then, like, so they're getting attacked by the elves, the innocent boar, a whole lot. While at the same time, they're, like, launching expeditions to reclaim their forts. So they're getting, like, mass invaded by the elves. And then we joined. And then this here is where we started. So while they're like mass under war with the innocent boar, specifically they're attacking the sandaled furnaces repeatedly. More false prophets, more false other stories. The Sly Pass attacked the wilted rock of the Cobalt Crypts. An elf led the attack. Yeah, they're getting attacked by the Sly Pass now en masse. More humans passing themselves off as other people. The establishment of nobility proposed by the Cobalt Crypts was rejected by the Cobalt Crypts in chapel stakes. That was me. I rejected the proposal of nobility. We continue fighting. Cobalt Crypts attacked the Forest of Passions. We attacked the Gilded Bones battles of an unknown civilization at Swift Test. The Dwarf Authority led the attack. And the defenders were led by the human necromancer. The Cobalt Crypts attacked the Gilded Bones battles of an unknown civilization at Swift Test. That's me attacking a necromancer tower. The Gilded Bones battles attacked the barricade of bronze, the Cobalt Crypts, and chapel stakes. The dwarven vampire Esmil became the member of the Cobalt Crypts. I remember that vampire joining. They fooled the kobold into thinking she was Lubor Bootleaps, which was one of my dwarves. Sly Pass attacked the Cobalt Crypts in Tombs Moons. The Sly Pass took over Tombs Moons. The new government was called the Tangled Beast. Actually, I have a theory. I attacked and destroyed an elven takeover of one of my forts. I wonder if that's what caused it. Because these elves are like invading en masse, right? And then I turned around at one point and was like, fuck you. The merchants from the Cobalt Crypts visited the Barricade of Bronze at chapel stakes and suffered great hardships. They reported irregularities with their goods. So something got stolen when I traded with them, but I didn't steal anything from them. So something happened there. Someone stole something from them. Cobalt Crypts attacked the Fang of Riddling. The Sly Pass attacked the Scalded Furnaces. Cobalt Crypts slipped into Dripped Fruits undetected by the lunches of the civilization. That was me. Cobalt Crypts attacked the Gilded Bones battles of an unknown civilization. Dwarf Doomed Ghoul Workbench led the attack. The defenders were led by the human necromancer. Cobalt Crypts at the settlement of chapel stakes regained their senses after a period of questionable judgment. And then the Sly Pass attacked the Barricade of Bronze after I was done playing with them. So after I was done playing with that fortress, we got attacked by elves. I think they're elves. The Sly Pass might not be elves. They might be a freaky group of necromancers. Jack, could we get another round of beers? We're really lurky today. Although I'm very much expecting today to be more or less dead for the next couple of weeks, so. After I'm done reading through this, I'm going to go get lunch. And then we'll swap over to Sly Pass attacked the Cobalt Crypts. Innocent Boar attacked. Rhythm of the Scalded Bronze attacked. We found a Chainbreaker before then. Yeah, and then this seems to be where it happens. Cobalt Crypts attacked the Guild of Maws of the Cobalt Crypts. Armor Sink. That wasn't me. Almost Merchant Heel led the attack, and the defenders were led by the dwarf Ast Bank Tower. So they attacked themselves in the background simulation after I made Chainbreaker. So we made Chainbreaker. We got a migrant wave. We got a second migrant wave. They attacked themselves. And that started a civil war. I was really hoping that it happened earlier. But no. You have screenshots? Why are you psting? Just tell me. Show me. Where is it? Did you put it in Discord? No, you didn't. So, psst, yourself. Yeah, it really looks... And then, like, here it's just all-out war. Confederacy of Rhythm attacked the blunt barricade at the Cobalt Crypts. Confederacy of Rhythm is all involved. The barricade of bronze of the Cobalt Crypts at Chapel Stakes. The Sly Pass attacked the barricade of bronze again. It's like solving a murder mystery. I mean, it really is. The Gilded Bones battles attacked the barricade of bronze at Cobalt Crypts at Chapel Stakes. The defenders were led the attack. Dwarf doomed ghoul. Yeah. That's literally what it was somehow in the background simulation after I made Chainbreaker, they invaded themselves after being like bombarded by elves nonstop for like 10 years. They got wrecked, basically. And then these are screenshots from the Molten Attack. Late summer of 355, the Cobalt Crypts attacked the Scalded Furnaces. Oh, so I did miss it. In the year 355, the Cobalt Crypts attacked the Scalded Furnaces of the Cobalt Crypts at Crazy Pants. The Dwarf Adil Clash Syrup led the attack, and the defenders were led by the Elf Arash Rock Tufted. I wonder if it was like a power dispute. In the late spring of 353, the Cobalt Crypts attacked the Guild of Maws. Yeah, that one we know about. And then the imprisoned merchants. See, this first one, I didn't know about. Causes of conflict are debated by scholars, and very little is truly known. So it was a giant comedy of errors. They were getting mass invaded by elves, and something snapped. I mean, like, based on reading through all of this, it really kind of feels like as time goes on, they're going further and further and further, like, dark. I mean, like, if you actually look at the overworld, half of this faction's stuff is, like, goblin settlements, like goblin pits. So I think just, like, over time, they've just gotten darker and darker and darker. But they just, like, something just happened, and they just snapped. Hello, Pablo. How are we doing? It's good to see you. I realized that was a lot of just, like, staring at long boxes of text, but... An off day? Yeah, I know that feeling. I'm kind of having an off day myself, honestly. But it's okay. I'm in a good mood, even though I feel like crap. But I've felt like crap since Saturday, so that's nothing really new. I have a feeling that scholars will ponder these events for years to come. Considering the Scalded Furnaces, who they were at war with pretty heftily, are also a Dwarven civ. The Ultimate Unions, who they were allied with, is a human civ. I mean, like, it's hard to be worse than last year amid forever. Like, if we look at the historical maps, right? Yeah, this is the Cobalt Crypts right here. So if I press enter, these guys right here are the Cobalt Crypts. Like, as you can see, they're growing pretty nicely. They're quite a happy standard civilization. A few Necromancer towers pop up in the like 260s. A few spots get invaded. A few more places get kind of taken over. And then in like 350, you suddenly have a whole bunch of stuff that gets destroyed over on the left. Down here. And then these guys over here. The Dagger of Steam. These are mostly Dark Dwarves. So they're all evil dwarves, and they're all just invading these guys, which probably ain't helping. And then the Innocent Boar, which is this primary Elven civ, down here also ain't helping. So, that shit's cool. That is cool. All right, well, it's 12:30. I'm going to go grab me my lunch. I'm going to start up the other game, and we'll start up Long Death for the day, I think. If you haven't already, my stream team has a survey going on, !survey, where we are kind of polling people who watch myself and any members of my stream team for things that we could do better. So if you'd like to help us out, you can fill out that survey. If you happen to have sound commands, now's a good time to use them to entertain the chat. And if I could get another round of beers, that'd be rad. I will be back in a minute. This is the older version of the game. It's time to go to Long Death. BRB. No! 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 No!